What is going on, all you little oddballs? It is your boy Corboy, and we're back over here on some Fallout 76, but we aren't going to be talking about 76. I'm going to turn the volume down just a little bit while I sit here and get my well-rested bonus. But yeah, we have a couple things to talk about today. A couple of things I want to talk about, specifically one of those being, well, two being the game Highguard and also COD Major 1 because that just finished up yesterday, and I want to talk about it a little bit because we have a lot to talk about with those two things. Um, I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the CDL major that just happened. It was CDL Dallas. It was the Optic major. Unfortunately, Optic did not pull out and win this one. Kind of unfortunate, but also really wasn't like too upset. I was really happy that Neptune finally got his first win over on land with the Gentlemates, which consist of Envoy, Sib, Ghosty, and Neptune himself. Crazy battle out between those two. Game went to a game seven. And it wasn't too bad. I will say this. Optic did look really dominant in most of the modes, like at least in like hardpoint, and they also looked really good in the overload. But on top of that, their search and destroy did look a little bit lackluster, if I'm going to be completely honest. They didn't look like they were fully in for it with at least that mode in itself. Um, which is a little concerning. I know as the year goes on, they will progressively get better and better at it. And also, I will say this: I know there's like some talks with Thieves making a change, possibly with getting rid of Kenny due to his performances. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely real and out my way at least, I feel like Kenny actually played pretty well at this event. I don't feel like he did that bad personally. I felt like he did pretty well and held his own very well, at least in the matches. I know they did get taken out pretty early in the event, which does suck for sure. Um, but I think overall, like he did play very well for himself. He definitely showed a lot of improvements from what we were seeing at first. Um, Unfortunately, they did get taken out by FaZe. FaZe also put up a really good fight. Finally got their get back on G2. They lost day one to G2. And then ended up coming back and winning against them. Of course, they did also lose online as well. I think twice to G2, if I'm not mistaken, which they do look like a super solid roster. I'll give them that. That team was actually really fun to watch. Watching Mamba, Skies, and who else is on that team? Crimp, and I forgot who else is on there. I think it starts with an E. Um, but it was like genuinely really fun matches all around from every team. Will say was very disappointed by the Ravens' performance because they were looking really good online and they did not show up on land. Like they got double first rounded from what I know. Um, First lost to Thieves, and of course Scraps talked his shit as he normally does, and then went down to losers bracket and lost to Surge, and that looked pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. Surge, they did look pretty decent. I think with that team having some more time together, I think they could be an actual pretty solid roster. But as a whole, they did get taken out pretty early themselves. But they did end up taking out Ravens. They looked very bad on land. Lurks was doing his thing. He looked really good. Exnid looked pretty, or not Exnid, Exceed, I think is what his name is. He actually looked pretty decent himself. But as a whole, they were definitely not there, and they were not the team I was expecting. I think from their online performances, I was expecting a lot more personally out of that roster, but they just did not show up on land, unfortunately, and it definitely showed. Pretty unfortunate to say the least, but hopefully they get back and can start grinding again. I think that team could be like fairly decent for the most part. I wouldn't say they're like a top four team by any means, but I do feel like they could be a fairly decent roster if they hone in on the actual land performance. Like I said, they looked really good online. Which definitely does set in notion of the onliner team, which is an unfortunate thing to be dealt. But hey, it happens, man. We win some, we lose some. Like I said, fairly disappointing. Um, and then of course talking about Optic, they looked really good. I will say one thing about the CDL that does kind of like I guess kind of irk me a little bit. If you all did watch the event at all, you would know that Optic's first face off against the Gentlemates, it was a clean, and I mean a clean sweep. Clean 3-0 from Optic. And then of course Gentlemates goes down, goes against FaZe, and ends up taking it away from FaZe. I will say both teams did look really good in that series. I think the FaZe roster does look really solid. I don't think they need to make a change. I just think they need to hone in a little bit more together. I think we kind of seen it on some, like both sides. Like during the first G2 round for losers, Simp was looking a little bit slow. But then also kind of like started picking it up. Of course, during the Gentlemates game, Simp was playing out of his mind good. I think there just needs to be some more team coordination on from them, and I think they will be a very, very solid team personally. Um, and then on top of that, we go into the last match of the day, grand finals. It was Gentlemates versus Optic, and this is kind of where I'm going to talk about some of my complaints with CDL. If y'all don't know, I mostly come from a Halo world. I'm a big Halo guy. Of course, I've watched COD for a long time as well. More in the recent years, like with Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 than ever, just because I actually like these games a lot. It's been the first games that I've really enjoyed the competitive side of. I think probably since like Infinite Warfare, it's like a game that I've like thoroughly enjoyed watching. And I think honestly, the CDL is kind of the highlight of this year, unfortunately. But I will say one thing I cannot say it about the CDL is that winners does not have advantage. I think that is like genuinely one of the worst things about the CDL. It's just one best of seven, which really sucks for whoever's on the winner side to a degree, because what that allows is Gentlemates, for example, they lost Optic. They get to go back, play FaZe, get in their groove, and then come out right after and play Optic again. So they're like already kind of warmed up. They are in their bag. They are ready to go. And I think having a reset or a two best of sevens for the loser side really kicks it up a notch to show who is the best team. I feel like one best of seven, like you already have a team coming in that's already, like I said, their hands are warm. They're ready to come in and play. And then you have the winter side, which had to wait for a couple of hours or even a couple of days before they come back in. And it's really wishy washy. I don't like that setup. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other stuff I can complain about with the CDL. Like for example, there's not enough matches. Teams playing, three. If you're on the winner side, you play like 3-4 times a week. At an event, so if you're pulling for a certain team and they're on winner side, you're not going to get to see them that much. Versus, for example, like over in Halo, I get to see my favorite team play multiple times a day, which is just really, really nice, and it keeps me entertained at least. Um, and I feel like the way the CDL is set up is just so weird. It feels I don't know how else to explain this. It feels detached from what made me fall in love with competitive gaming, because like esports is nothing like traditional sports, and I feel like with like COD and the CDL, like they're trying to appeal more to like the traditional sports role, and it's like that's not what you should be appealing to. Like them motherfuckers don't give a shit about our thing. Like why are we trying to do this? And that's at least what it feels like to me. Like I said, it just feels in general really out of touch as a whole. Really unfortunate and just kind of lackluster to a degree. But yet again, I mean, I hope there's some changes that come with it. I want to see that best of seven change more than anything. I feel like winners having the advantage not only makes series go on longer, so it gives us more to watch as like spectators, but also it just creates this like, okay, if they can come back from losers and win a two best of sevens, it really shows who is the upper team, who is the better team. And it's just I don't know. I want to see that as a change, because we've seen it, for example, with Halo in recent years. We've seen over on the Space Station roster back in 2024, we've seen the first ever losers bracket sweep with Bound, Legend, Eco, and Stellar. And then Optic did it twice last year with that roster. It was Bound, Legend, Renegade, and Formal. We've seen them do it as well. And it really does create one of those hype moments when a team goes the distance. They go down to losers bracket and then they make the comeback and they still win the event. It is one of the most, I'll say it, one of the most dopamine filled fun things to watch ever. It doesn't matter who you're pulling for at that point, I don't think. It's like the thing of, holy shit, will they come back and win it? And them doing that, I think, makes it more entertaining to watch. And I want to see that in COD. Like, I think COD has a lot of moments where it is really, really fun to watch, but then you have those things that take away from the spectator side of things, where it's like, oh, this isn't as fun to watch because there's not as much to get involved in. It feels very just kind of Like, I don't know how else to really explain it. It just kind of feels that's the best way I can describe it. But overall, the first major was absolutely phenomenal. Optic always puts on a great watch. It sucks that I can't do watch parties or anything with the CDL because you have to like submit stuff for that, and I definitely know that I would not get accepted with like my content and everything, and being like a very very small creator. It does suck to a degree that I can't sit down and watch them with you all. That's actually part of the reason why I didn't stream this weekend like at all, was because I was just sitting here watching the major. Like I said, really really unfortunate, but it's just the way things go. I really do hate to see that. The more, it's become a business, I guess. Like, yeah, it's good because players get paid more. Like, that's a good thing. It gives them a, something to go for. But as a whole, from a spectator side, I just think it's kind of Like, that's one thing, like I said, I like about Halo a lot, is it feels very in tune with what everybody loved about esports, especially in the console space and the console FPS space. Like, it gives that feeling of just like it feels like a community. It doesn't feel like a business, I think, is the best way for me to put it. It's just really unfortunate to see it go that way, but hey, hopefully things can change. That's what we can hope for at this point. Um, I've been really enjoying watching BO7. I think BO7 on land is honestly a really, really fun game to watch. Was a little bit worried about Overload because I know a lot of people weren't liking it online. Personally, I like Overload. I think it's a really, really fun mode. Um, that mode is absolutely insane on land. The things that players were doing, I will say, people getting mad at FaZe for like parking the bus and everything was kind of funny. Optic was just kind of running at motherfuckers, and I think that was really, really entertaining to watch as a whole. But yeah, I think Overload is a lot more fun on land to watch than it is online, just because of how people play, the stakes and everything. You get to watch some insane plays happen from teams, especially whenever it's those like last couple of moments where they really need to lock in. They really need to get those points up. I think it just makes it an overall really, really fun watch. Um, but yeah, besides that, I think that's everything for Major One. Like I said, really, really fun watch. Optic always, puts on a great event to just even not. I wouldn't say attend because I have not attended an event, but just to watch. They go all out with it. It's super entertaining. You can see it in the crowd and everything. That it is truly a spectacle for an Optic event. And I would say this. They do the same thing with Halo as well. Like, watching Optic Halo events were always super, super fun. It brought a lot of life to the community, and whether you're an Optic fan or not, they just know how to throw an event for the community that they are a part of. I think Optic truly, that's why I think they are like one of the best orgs in esports, is because they are super in tune with what the community is. And I like that a lot. That's one thing I've always loved about Optic, is they are just super in tune with, like, they know what their community is, and they aren't going to change just because, something is popular at the moment. They're not going to become this, they're a business, but they don't feel like a business. You know what I mean? Like, it truly feels like an actual a community of players, and I think that's what really really makes them different from everybody else. But other than that, I do want to talk about Highguard a little bit. Now, I want to set this off in Notion. I have not played the game. Am I interested in playing the game? No, not at all. I have no interest in playing that game. I don't like hero shooters. I think they are a very lackluster genre. Do I think this game is warranted with all the hate that it's getting? No, not necessarily. Like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on how you feel about hero shooters. I feel like a lot of people hate the game even though they haven't played it. I don't personally hate the game. I just don't have an inclination to play the game. It definitely sucks for the team that made it. I will say that wholeheartedly. Like, you can tell that a lot of effort was put into this game. They are wanting to make this game something successful, and it just seems like it's missing the mark. I will say this. I feel like one reason for that too is like them coming out and being like, "Oh, this is the new game from the Titanfall and Apex devs," and seeing what we got versus I think what the fans of those studios wanted. I think is why this game is getting so much hate. To be completely honest, when I heard, all the devs for Titanfall and Apex are making a new game, I was like, holy shit, is going to be a new mech shooter? Because that would be dope. I want to see that. And then seeing what we got, it was kind of like, oh, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I would want from a team like this. This is not what I would expect them to make. But things change. I will say this. I'm going to be completely honest and forward for a moment here. I've seen a lot of videos on Highguard, especially of like scrolling Instagram reels and everything like that, and I see a lot of people talking good about the game. Can I be honest though for a second, because it makes me not want to? It makes me want to not play the game even more. Is every time I see one of these videos, the first thing I see in the caption of the video is hashtag ad. And I'm not gonna lie. If the only reason you're talking good on a game is because you got an advertisement for it, it makes me want to check it out even less. I just got to be real here. It just seems like people are taking the money for it and then not playing it or anything like that. I've seen a little bit of gameplay, and I will say this: it looks kind of cool. It seems like the gunplay looks really smooth. The characters look really like well put together and like they have their own roles. But as a whole, it just looks like eh. Also, I feel like not only it being just a hero shooter turns me away, but it being like this, I guess kind of like in the vein of like Rainbow Six Siege to a degree, where it's like, oh, you attack this base, like you're raiding them. It just I don't know, man. It just doesn't do anything for me. Like, I really was hoping, like, whenever I heard that they were making a new game, that it would be something in vein of like Titanfall, and maybe that's not what they wanted to make. And with that being said, that's totally fine. Um, I just feel like holding that notion and then kind of not giving those fans, I guess, what they expected does kind of suck to a degree. And this isn't me hating on the game, like I said. Like I haven't even played it myself, and I don't have an interest in playing it because I know it's not a game for me. And I usually always say, like, you should play a game before you judge it. And I do completely agree with that notion from myself that you should play a game before you judge it. And that's why I'm not trying to be too harsh about it. It's just like I know I'm not gonna like it. I know what kind of games I like, and I know what kind of games I don't like. And I just gotta be completely honest about that. Like I know what games I enjoy. I know what games I don't enjoy. And I know that those style of games are things that I do not enjoy personally. It's just to me something I don't really find that fun. I find it to be kind of just boring and meh. I like if you've watched the channel, you know what kind of shooters I like. I like arcade shooters and I like arena shooters. Those are my go-to like types of games. Like Halo, like Destiny's PvP, like COD. It's or even when I was making X Defiant content, I really liked X Defiant until they started leaning way too hard into the hero side of things. To me, that made it really boring and very repetitive. Um, and yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about this Highguard game. It, like I said, it looks good, like graphically and like artistically. The game does look pretty damn good. Like it doesn't look too bad. Is it my favorite art style? No, not by any means. But does it look bad for what it's going for? No, it looks actually pretty damn good. The gunplay looks really solid, but it doesn't interest me enough to want to play it. I just know that if I did try it out, I know I wouldn't like it. Like I know what kind of games I like. I know what kind of games I don't like, and this is a type of game that I don't typically enjoy. Now, who knows? I might end up trying it out at some point, and if I do, we'll probably end up streaming it with some buddies and giving it a shot. I wouldn't hold me up to that if I'm going to be completely honest. I just know it's not something that I would personally want to go out of my way and play, and that's just how I feel about it. Overall, do I think it's a terrible game? No, it doesn't look that bad. But do I think it missed a mark? Yeah, I definitely feel like it missed a mark. Now, do I hope the game fails? No, I don't want the game to fucking fail. I want it to succeed. I really do hate the notion of gamers just wanting games to fail for some fucking reason. I think that's just the weirdest fucking thing. A game comes out that people aren't really into, and the first thing you fucking see is, oh, Concord, and it's just really fucking annoying and just not fun to see. Like I don't want to see any game fucking fail. You know why? Because that makes less games to fucking play. I don't think people understand that. And I wish some of you idiots would. I like having more games to play. I like having different shit to play. And I think that is actually why I like gaming so much, is because I have so many different things that I can experience. I don't just have to play one fucking type of game. Like I can play COD, I can play Fallout, I can play Halo, I can play whatever the fuck else I want to fucking play at that moment. It's like I just like playing different games. And I know on this channel you all only see a fraction of the games that I play, but I play a lot of different shit because there's some games I just don't make content on because I don't want to make content on. I just want to enjoy it for myself. I like a lot of roguelike games. I play those quite a damn bit. I like top down shooters. I like some RPG games, like traditional RPG, like turn based RPG type games. Like there are games that I like in a multitude of different genres, and that's what I enjoy. And I hate the notion that we have now, and I think a lot of it has to do just because people on the internet think they're the smartest human beings ever. I hate the notion that just games should die because I don't like it. You know, I said that with Halo Infinite. I'll say that with games going forward, even if it's a game I don't like. I don't want to see it fail. I even said that with X Defiant. Whenever I kind of lost my own interest, I was like, I don't want this game to die. This game has so much opportunity to be an actual really good game. A game that could surprisingly probably compete with COD to a degree. I feel like that could have happened, and I do feel like they dropped the ball in some ways. I feel like the operators kind of were like kind of janky, but they just needed some work, and I feel like they could have been really cool. And also, that game not having a competitive scene, I think, really was something that lost a lot of players because it does appeal to the COD community. That was a game that was meant for COD players to come over and try. And I feel like them not having a competitive playlist or anything like that, I feel like really did drop the ball on that game, and I really missed that game. I'm gonna be completely honest. There are days where I think about X Defiant, and I'm like, damn, I do kind of miss this game. It was really really fucking good, and I would give anything for that game to be back because it definitely gave us light. And I feel like actually that game is part of the reason why BO7 doesn't have skill based matchmaking. I know so many people are going to like come into this comment if you play COD and be like, no, the game definitely has skill based match. They're lying to us. No, idiots, because the games that you're selecting. It's because the modes that you have selected. You are picking the modes with the sweatiest players. Therefore, you're going to get pitted against the sweatiest players. I don't know how else to make that. I don't know how to make that more clear. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I am sorry for the lack of uploads. Like I said, I was watching Major One this weekend, and I couldn't stream it or anything like that, and I really wanted to wait till the end to talk about it. And then I also wanted to talk about Highguard a little bit. After putting some of my thoughts together on the game and kind of how I feel about it, and yeah, I think that's really all I got to say today. I love you all, and I will catch you later.